Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Meredith here with Healthy Voice, and I'm going to help you tune you into your healthy voice, which is really getting to the word and really finding out God is really your healthy voice. But today I want to talk to you about disciplining ourselves in the midst of distraction. And I think we all have distractions. It's life. And sometimes we get frustrated because we are so focused on something happening, and then a distraction comes and it's like, yeah, that's not supposed to how it's supposed to go. But really, distractions are a part of life. So if you think about a couple of them, think about the leaves. I posted something about the leaves this morning. Leaves falling are a beautiful distraction. In fact, someone just called me, a friend of mine, Eliza, and said she was watching the leaves fall outside her window, and how many minutes she stared at it for like 20 minutes, and how, to me, that is really us listening for God's voice, just meditating in nature. But then there's the other distractions, like people, situations, and like my mother-in-law was here for 2 weeks and left last Thursday, and it was only supposed to be a couple days. It was 2 weeks, but again, it was a good distraction because it is good to spend time with the people in our lives. And we can get frustrated, like, well, I need to get this done and I need to get this done. But to be honest, a lot of times these distractions are really God kind of pointing us in a different direction and going, could you just stop for a minute? So I'm going to talk a little bit just about these distractions in life. And I got to tell you, my own weakness, I struggle with them too, because I tend to be so present in life that I, am present to the distractions, whereas it can keep me from being focused, especially since I'm kind of ADD. And I've just been really praying about, help me to focus on you, Lord. Help me to focus on your call while I'm in the middle of these distractions, because truth is, they're all going to come in life. So we're going to talk a little bit about different types of distractions and identify them, and I'm going to help you see how discipline really helps us to navigate them, but not us disciplining ourselves, but really asking for God's help to discipline us. So I want to read you this quote, because I think sometimes we kind of love the distractions of the chaos, and that's why I think we're always called to kind of step away and get still with God. So I'm going to read you this quote from Henry Nouwen. It says, as soon as we are alone, inner chaos opens up in us. This chaos can be so disturbing and so confusing that we can hardly wait to get busy again. Entering a private room and shutting the door, therefore, does not mean that we immediately shut out all inner doubts, anxieties, fears, bad memories, unresolved conflicts, angry feelings, and impulsive desires. On the contrary, we have removed our outer distraction. We often find that our inner distractions manifest themselves to us in full force. We often use the outer distractions to shield ourselves from the interior noises. This makes the discipline of solitude all the more important. So, and if you go to Luke 10 later on or now, while you watch, if you read about Mary and Martha, and it's towards the end, it's verse 38. And, I don't know if you know the story, but, Martha's too busy. Jesus shows up and Martha's too busy being busy and making sure everything's perfect. And, Mary just pauses, to really notice and, spend time with the Lord and listen to what he says. And Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. And one verse even says she is distracted with much serving. Literally, serving is distracting her. So, we've all been a Mary, we've all been a Martha, or maybe you're more Martha and would love to be more Mary. But, I think we have to kind of look at, is my busyness or focusing on those distractions keeping me from listening to the Lord? So, I think busyness makes us think we're all Wonder Women. And again, Wonder Woman is a great thing to strive for, be the best you can be, but you're not Wonder Woman. It's a character, a fictional one. So, and the world really wants us to, run and strive, and it doesn't want us to be still and trust that God knows. So, You know, especially with the holidays coming, we're all going to be going crazy, scrambling, and, you know, trying to be Wonder Woman and trying to make everybody happy. And to be honest, that's when you need to step away from the chaos and the distractions and take a pause. So a little bit more about the distractions. One, what we feel inside. Henry Nouwen talked about it. You know, it's the doubts, it's the fears, it's all those feelings. And then what we think, you know, what are the things we think? Those are all things inside. What are we thinking about stuff? What are we feeling? If that stuff can be so distracting, it can throw us into anxiety attacks. Believe me, I get it. Comparison, stupid Facebook can make you think that you need to be doing what somebody else is doing. And again, so been there. And it keeps us stuck on the surface instead of letting us just be who we are. So taking things personally, whole other message. You're worrying about what everyone else is talking about you. Really, half the time they just are not thinking or talking about you. Kids, they're not a distraction. They are who we're raising the next generation. They are a good distraction, but we also are separate from our kids, and we need to know that we have purpose too. You know, it's all about raising our kids, but our kids are going to have their own lives too. So, and that's a whole other topic, but they're part of the purpose, but they're not the only purpose. So, family, just like I said about my mother-in-law, you know, when you're around family, I mean, that's a distraction, but it's a good distraction. Our plan, not God's plan. It's like, you know, if we're on a mission expecting things to go a certain way and it doesn't go our plan, guess what? Time to maybe realize that you're not in charge all the time. So because sometimes we think, you know, we're being distracted, but God is really detouring us. Like, yeah, no, you're going this way, you're going this way. Nope, I know you think it's that way. Nope, this way. I don't care if it's difficult, you're going this way. So, so when someone says it wasn't supposed to happen this way, yeah, a lot of times it's not, because God's got a different plan. So, what I found is that I have to accept, adapt, and overcome. So, if I accept something, then God's plan is always better than mine, even if I don't feel or think it. In fact, his detours always get me to where I'm supposed to be, not where I think I'm supposed to be. So when the detours come, you got to fight the fear with faith and believe God will use them for your calling, because we all have a calling and we have to steward our calling, meaning we are responsible for that call. Yes, we're parents. Yes, we're spouses. Yes, we're writers, or you know, whatever kind of, you know, what your career is, that is what it is. But, you know, we are called to be who we're called to be and nobody else. So, you know, in order to steward that calling, we need to know who God says we are. And in order to know that God wants to discipline us in a good way, we need to get to know God. So, we all want to discipline ourselves, you know. The hashtag for discipline is out of this world, because I guarantee you it's got everything to do with fitness and how we are to discipline ourselves. But really, God wants to help us. God wants to be the one to discipline us. So Hebrews 12:6 tells us, for the Lord disciplines those he loves. Proverbs 3:11-12, my son, do not despise the Lord's discipline and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves. Twice, as a father, the son he delights in. So, and he doesn't want to just discipline us in general. He wants to discipline us to discipline our mind, our body, our time. 1 Timothy 4:7, for the purpose of godliness. Discipline yourselves for the purpose of godliness, not just your vanity. That's not the verse, but the not just your vanity is my ad. So 1 Corinthians 9:27 from the Voice, which is another version of the Bible. I discipline my body and make it my slave, so after all this, after I've brought the gospel to others, I will still be qualified to win the prize. 2 Corinthians 10:5, we take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. So body, thought, and then time. Ephesians 5:15-17. Look carefully how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of your time, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. We have to make the commitment to be disciplined, not for ourselves, but for the Lord's purposes. It's not just about me disciplining my body so I have this fabulous body. No, it's really not. There's so much more to us than that. So you know, and with the distractions, we may love our distractions and they may be good and that's really, I mean, if you think about Jesus, he was always kind of being distracted. And so we have to be present to those. And there's a great book called 10-Second Rule about, you know, something happens in your life that isn't part of the plan. You just see how God's going to work in that plan and take 10 seconds to realize it. So, and then one more verse, Hebrews 12:11. For the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. So if we want to be truly disciplined, you know, we get to be disciplined from the Lord, and he gives us the power by his Spirit to discipline us and strengthen us. And, you know, it doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and self-discipline. So I guess my question for you is, what is distracting you from your purpose? Is there a detour God wants you to accept? And what areas of your life need more discipline? Like not just food, are there other areas? And are you noticing God's part in, are you noticing how God wants to help you when you're trying to do it for yourself? So embrace the distractions. Notice if they're not great distractions, and listen for what God's telling you in those distractions that is about your purpose and your call. And because you're not going to all of a sudden have one day where there's no distractions. And guess what? I tell this to myself too. You have to embrace the valleys and the mountains, and, you know, work with it. Work with what God is placing in your life. So, okay. I think that's it. I will see you next week. And next week we get to talk about detachment, a little bit about boundaries, and that we are not in charge of everybody else's feelings. Shocking. I know. All right. You guys have a great week, and enjoy watching those leaves fall. All right. Bye-bye.